Don't stand there gawping like you've never seen your undergut before!
Beloved, welcome back to the shop. I woke up this morning to a very troubling email from one of our fellow pro-hos in the UK, and his name is Ross, and he asked me if I could do a video or give him some advice on how to make emergency body armor for fellows in the UK. Now, if you don't know, the UK is on the verge of civil war right now, and they have been essentially declawed years ago, and he's asking, how does a man defend himself? And I thought that that was a very interesting topic. So I went around the house and I grabbed household items, and I tried to put myself in the position of a UK man. What would I do if I had to protect myself from marauding hordes, or if I got caught up in a riot, what would I do? And then I realized if I do this video, I'm going to get in trouble and my account will probably get taken down. So this is going to be a thought experiment and a movie script for a potential fictional movie if I ever were to go to Hollywood and write something. So one of the very first thing you've got to do is, UK, if you don't know, is a surveillance state. You're not going to go anywhere with this. Leave your cell phone at home. You're going to need to protect your anonymity. That's going to be paramount. So I've broken this video down into about three or four categories: defensive weapons, personal protective equipment, and things that you can do to, well, what have we learned from, what does America learn from the last 50 years of killing folks continuous? You know, we've learned a thing or two, and I'm an intelligent, resourceful guy. People will ask, well, what qualifies you to do this video, and how do you know anything about it? Well, my background, I'm an extreme sports athlete. I've raced BMX bikes, I raced motorcycles, I've done rock climbing, I was a firefighter, I can get entry into anything. I just have a skill set, and I'm also a watcher and a learner, and I'm also a student of history. And so things haven't changed. You know, human nature is the same as it's always been. What worked in the past will work today. And in UK, you find yourself, you know, you don't have access to all the cool high-speed stuff that the Americans have. You're going to have to go back to the way you were during the Crusades. There's things you can do, and let's just jump into it. Number one, offensive weapons. I don't think that you should, I don't know that you can be offensive, to be honest with you. We kicked your ass in the Revolutionary War because we didn't play your game. When you came at us with superior firepower, superior training, we fought a guerrilla warfare. So don't go toe-to-toe in a situation like this. This video is about protecting yourself and your family and your home, not about going out and causing trouble. So again, this is all pretend. What would I do to answer the question? He was asking about what is a poor man's body armor? If I had to really quickly build myself some sort of body armor that's going to protect me, not from gunshot wounds, no, not from that, it's going to be mostly knife, you're going to have a cutting board. This is where I would start. A plastic cutting board is a pretty tough piece of equipment. You're going to have it, you can get it, but if I take this knife right here, this is a small knife, but it's a strong knife that has a grind in it that will penetrate quite deeply. If I stab this as hard as I can, it doesn't go anywhere near going through. You can see right there, maybe on the blade, maybe a 1/4 inch of penetration. You can cut this to fit any body style. Put one on the front, put one on the back, cut holes in it, shoulder straps, Velcro, duct tape, whatever, but figure it out, you can make this work. Now, you gotta have some padding on something like this. A knife probably is not gonna be a big problem. You're not gonna get bruising or have to worry about the transfer of energy, but you can put some leather, you can put canvas, you can put cardboard. The sandwich method is your friend. Just sandwich some material, something soft against your skin, where if you were to take a round from, let's say, a tear gas gun or a non-lethal round, it's not going to stop your heart. It's not going to take you out of the fight. So just think about that. So cutting board is going to be very good. As far as offensive weapons, you have to be careful in the UK because you have draconian laws against this. You get caught with a knife. I don't know all your rules. You're going to have to figure this out on your own. But a screwdriver, a regular flat number 2 screwdriver is a handy thing. I'm not saying just protecting yourself. If you need to throw a punch, it will stabilize your hand. You can pry, you can open things. If you use the point, you can break glass. It's one of the, if you just look to your shop and you look to what's the tool that you grab all the time for scraping, prying, poking, picking, a flat screwdriver is a good way to go. Don't forget your closet pole. Closet pole, you know, if your closet poles, if you can get one that's made out of some good old English hickory, you know, would you want to come up against a motivated dude defending his home with this? You know, I don't know that I would. Fire pokers, shovels, Wooden stakes with a point on them. What have men used in the past? You have to be resourceful. Unfortunately, there's a saying in the UK, and shout out to my man Undead Chronic, he came up with this. You can't spell cuck without the UK. You guys have been completely neutered. And again, I follow your politics kind of, but I also know your history. And there was no greater soldier, apart from maybe a US Marine, when it comes to resourcefulness and savagery, as the British soldier. What's the old saying? You guys, explorers, would go to remote locations and there was two things you would always find: mad dogs and Englishmen. It's in your DNA to fight and to be strong and courageous. Even though you've never done anything in your life and you think that you don't have the capabilities, you can reach back to your DNA and channel the power of your ancestors, and it is in you to defend your country if you need to, even though it doesn't seem that way. Let's get into personal protective equipment. Now, tear gas is always a big problem. Flying debris is always a big problem. Fire is always a big problem. What do you see in these riots? What do we see? What are the tactics that our very own Antifa is using? We don't need to reinvent the wheel. And you have to walk a real fine balance, I think, in the UK with not being overtly obvious with what you're doing, because you can get yourself in trouble. You run around and you've got an axe and a balaclava, they're going to hone in on you. So you want to be the gray man. You want to pick things that are not going to be really obvious, but are going to offer you a certain level of protection. So let's start at the head. Helmet. You're going to have two options, the way I see it. You're going to have access to motorcycle helmets, which are fine. They do offer good protection. They work really well with goggles, but this is really going to stifle your hearing, and it's really going to stifle your periphery. So I don't know that I'd recommend it. I think a bike helmet is going to be the best way to go. But don't be running around with a white bike helmet. Don't be running around with something bright colored, something that in a crowd you can be picked out and singled out. You want to spray paint stuff, put covers on it, whatever. Just make it look like a bike courier. Just make yourself look like someone that just maybe got caught up in a melee and is just trying to get home. That's going to be very, very important. And protecting your identity is going to be very, very important as well. So I would recommend a bike helmet. You got to protect your eyes. So you're going to want to have safety glasses. Safety glasses or goggles, or if you just wear regular prescription glasses, that's going to be enough. But look after protecting the face and the eyes. Also your ears. I'm going to have squishy earplugs. Squishy earplugs are very effective. You can control how much hearing protection you want. You can wear them kind of loose, so you're not completely ruining your senses, but you can still hear, but you're still protected. So hearing squishy earplugs are going to be important. I'm going to carry a flashlight. I'm going to carry a lighter. Also, as a wildland firefighter, fire is a very destructive thing. It can be used for good or for bad. Take that for what it's worth, but don't forget that this is a tool that you can use. A Bic lighter and a bag of potato chips, these are full of oil. These will go up immediately. So if you need to start a warming fire and do a cookout somewhere, don't forget, pour out some potato chips, light that bag on fire, and you can feed your family or do whatever you need to do. You're going to need to protect your respiratory system. Now again, guerrilla tactics, when you're going up against someone, a force that's better equipped than you, you're not going to stand toe-to-toe with them. So I don't know if they're going to be firing tear gas and that sort of thing. You're going to fade away. You're going to fade away, regroup, and do something different. You choose the terms, but it's not a bad idea to have an N95 mask. If you could step it up a little bit, you can go with something, go to your Tesco or whatever it is, wherever you buy home goods, and get yourself a small respirator. If you have the means to buy like a real proper Mira or something like that, that's good. But I don't think you're all going to have access to that. So just think about protecting that respiratory system. It's very important. Duct tape. The duct tape, with the duct tape and that cutting board and a hole saw, I can make body armor. You can cover security cameras, you can lock doors. There's just a million things you can do. I would have a roll of duct tape on me. Duct tape, flashlight, screwdriver, and lighter. Your cell phones are also going to be cut off immediately. Don't plan on using cell phones to communicate with friends. The good book says that a 3-cord rope is not easily broken. 3 is the magic number if you need to go out and do something. You and 2 other guys 3 men are pretty formidable. They can get a lot of work done, and most guys are pretty reluctant to go up against 3 guys. I mean, it is the magic number. I know I hear from a lot of guys that say, you know, I'm aware of this and I understand that things are getting bad, but my neighbors, they're not on board. They're not preparing. They're not taking this serious. I tried to get together with my neighbors to put together an emergency plan, and they're just not responding. Trust me, when you see your local chip shop stop burning, when you see cars on fire and people trying to break into your house, these dudes are going to get on board. Unfortunately, they're not going to have prepared, so you may have to put some of these things aside for your mates, right? Is that what you call them? You're going to have a trauma kit, first aid kit. Now, you know, we've been killing folks for a long time in the U.S. military, and we've come up with the secret sauce, and it really just consists of a small IFAK. You know, this is not going to be treating scrapes and burns, but you're going to have a tourniquet in here. You're going to have a big, like an Israeli bandage, a blood stopper, and you know, you just go look it up. I'm not your Google here. You have the ability to do this. Face shields are handy, but they also draw a lot of attention to yourself. You know, a pair of safety glasses or prescription glasses are going to be a little bit more covert. This is going to be more overt. It's going to give you a lot better protection, but this is what the cops are using. You know, cops are using it because it works. Also, you know, don't forget, England probably invented the shield. You can make a shield as well out of that cutting board. Not only can you protect your front and back, but by doing something, this is a commercially made ballistic shield, but you get the idea. This can be improvised, this can be done, this could easily be recreated with a cutting board. So just a food for thought. Personal protective equipment. Number one, you got to protect your identity. And the way I would do that would be 3 ways. I think the best way to go about it is going to be a balaclava. Put your shiesty on. But problem is, dude running around in chaos with dumpsters on fire, wearing a shiesty, is going to draw attention to himself. As good as it is, just know that and remember that. I personally carry one on my EDC. I don't want to be picked up on a security camera and get lumped in and mixed in with some bad guys when I didn't have anything to do with what was going on. So think about that. Probably what would be better, and it's going to be a lot more covert, is going to be a hoodie. Be careful of the color of the stuff. Be careful of what it's made out of. You're going to be around fire. Fire loves polyester. Fire loves synthetic. As a wildland firefighter, we're very careful about the clothing that we wear. We only wear things that are natural or Nomex, things that are going to not, it's not that they're not going to burn, but they're not going to sear and adhere to your skin. So when you're choosing garments, choose heavy-duty natural fibers, wool, cotton, linen. Stay away from synthetics. Stay away from anything that has like screen printing on it, because that will burn and sear to your skin. You don't want to catch on fire. And if someone's throwing Molotov cocktails or gasoline or all these dangerous things around, you don't want to be caught up in that. The hoodie also gives you the ability to very quickly pull that over and cover your head. If you're going to be wearing your N95 mask, you've got sunglasses on, safety glasses, it's going to offer a level of anonymity. But choose your color carefully. Big solid black colors you don't see them in nature very often. So think about your environment, think about the colors, look at what urban militaries use when they're operating in cities or urban areas, and just kind of learn from that. So beiges, grays, darker greens, that sort of color, natural fibers, hoodie, bandana, glasses will protect your anonymity, especially in UK where there are cameras everywhere. Leather gloves. No substitute for leather gloves. Don't use mechanics gloves. Don't use anything synthetic. If you get in a fire, the first thing that gets burnt usually are people's hands. You know, they're trying to do something or they're trying to work their way out. Your hands are going to come in contact with the fire. Leather will protect your hands and it won't melt like those mechanics gloves will. Pants. Choice of pants and garments are important. Wear the thickest, heaviest things you have. If you have things that are canvas, a cargo pant is ideal. That's why militaries use them all over the world, because you can carry stuff in the pockets. You can carry water bottles, you can carry food, you can carry supplies. Avoid backpacks. Having a backpack on, if you get into a tussle with someone, is really bad. They can use that backpack to control you, to throw you down, and to grab you and to pull you. You don't want to have anything loose that people can grab. You want to, if you're going to be carrying a bag of any sorts, don't be so attached to it that you can't ditch it instantly and get rid of it. You don't want to enter into a struggle with a bunch of straps and backpacks on. You want to be as lean and slick and clean as possible. That's why I like the hoodie, because you got a good pocket here, you got big cargo pockets on the side, and that's going to be good for you. But heavy, natural fibers. Remember, clothing is a protective garment. We look at clothing just as fashion, but men have known for years that clothing has been specifically designed materials to protect us. Our soft, tender skin, our soft bellies, we got to protect that sort of thing. Have a bandana. Bandana is going to be an emergency bandage. It's going to be an emergency tourniquet. It's going to be an emergency air filter, and it's going to be able to help protect your anonymity if you need to cover your face in an emergency or your neck. A bandana should always be on you. And goodness, the foundation of it all is a sturdy shoe. Roman soldiers, one of their advantages with it is that they had the Roman sandal. They had a hobnailed, cleated shoe that helped them to get good traction. If you've watched people who fight, watch people that get in a fight with Crocs. The Crocs will split and end up at their knees. You've got to have good, solid footing and footwear. You've got to protect your feet. In extreme sports, that's one of the foundational things. Motorcycles, the feet are very vulnerable and they're very important because that's your mobilization. If you can't walk, if you have a foot damage, then you're in trouble. You can't escape, you can't flee, you can't do anything. So a good, heavy, sturdy hiking boot, something with a good sole, a lug sole on it that will offer some protection and give you the ability to have traction if you need to scuffle. Bags, again, like I said, backpacks are okay, but be ready to ditch it. Sling bags might be even better, but just be aware you don't want to have all your vital stuff in here in case you need to ditch it and to move quickly. Upper layers, heavy coats. Carhartts are good. They're made out of cotton. They're not like Nomex, they're not flame resistant, but they're going to be a whole lot better than any sort of technical clothing. The nylon, which will burn immediately. So this jacket, not only is it very fashionable, but short-waisted jacket. It gives you good mobility. You don't have a bunch of extra stuff. You can get into your pockets. These jackets, this is a military design. This is kind of an Eisenhower-style jacket where you have good mobility and you can move and you can have a good layer of protection, and it's cotton, so you don't have to worry about it near as much of catching on fire. Body armor. After you make some sort of a chest protector protecting your vitals, I would start on the front, maybe on the back. My front would probably be my main priority, but there's a lot of really good equipment that's been developed for sports. Hockey players, volleyball players, you got to protect the joints, the hard points. That's what I have really learned. The most vulnerable are going to be knees and elbows. Knees and elbows take a lot of damage. You're going to want to protect those. You can get online on Amazon, at your local sporting goods supply store, motorcycle style knee protection. Motorcycle racers have to be very athletic. They have to be able to move. So this design of the stuff is quite good. It articulates well, and it also can be worn under pants, and it's not really noticeable. I mean, if you have a larger pair of pants, you can wear these. This is going to give you hard point protection on your knees. If you go down, if someone strikes you, these are very, very affordable and very, very effective. I would start with this. I would have knee and shin protection. And then for the upper body, what I would look to is kind of a full body solution for an upper body armor. This is what I wear. This is made by Liat. You've got shoulder protection. You've got elbow and forearm protection. You've even got back and chest protection to a certain extent. It's going to work for blunt impact. It's not going to stop a blade or anything sharp, but it will offer a lot of protection for impact. If I'm wearing all this stuff and someone comes at me with a closet pole or a shovel or a stick or a bat, I'm going to be able to weather that a lot better if I have this protection, and especially on the elbows. Protect the knees and the elbows. The hips and the spine to a certain extent, but that's secondary. If you can a lot of injuries I've suffered have been on the hips right here. You have to be careful with that. So I wear shorts that have that padding, and I don't know that I would go to that. We're getting a little bit ridiculous here. What else? I laid everything out. I think that sums it up. So just remember, just be smart. Have a plan. Don't try to go in there and get involved in this. I'm going to strip all the politics out of this. You know, this is so outside of your control you're not going to go out there and be a one-man Rambo, and that's not what we're talking about. This is to help protect yourself if you get caught up in this stuff. But just be smart and just remember, non-conventional. Don't try to go toe-to-toe with people that are outnumber you or have superior technology or weaponry. You have to be smart about it and just protect yourself the best you can. And understand this. It seems very depressing, I get that, watching the world fall apart, but there's a great awakening right now. The system that we've had has really held us in bondage. We have not been the free men that we think we are. When the change is coming, it doesn't necessarily mean change is bad. There may be something good or better that comes out on the other side. So just be faithful, trust God, protect your family, take these measures, protect yourself the best you can, excuse me, and keep us in your prayers. Good luck.
Don't stand there, Corbin! Like you've never seen Yander God before! Now, today we're going to do marching up and down the square! That is, unless any of you got anything better to do.